I have some really exciting news. For the first time in an extremely long amount of time, Fishy Business, we're actually going to have some aquacultured, so tank bred and raised seahorses in the store. So I'm going to have 3 different kinds. I'm going to have your regular Hippocampus erectus. Those are your regular seahorses. They're lined, they're kind of black and gray, and they have like tan lines through them. So I'm gonna have some of those, but I'm also gonna have 2 different types of Brazilian long nose as well. These are the ones that are gonna be like bright yellow and bright orange. So I'm gonna have some pretty cool colors too. I'm very excited. We are gonna get one of the BioCubes here in the store set up for them. You'll see a little bit more about that later, about some of the things we have to add for the seahorses in particular. So make sure you watch this whole video because it's going to start with the BioCube, and then towards the end you'll actually get to see the seahorses in the tank. So I'm super excited. Please follow with this video. In just a couple seconds I'm actually going to talk to you guys a little bit more about the seahorses that I ordered, their Latin name, what they eat, where they live, how to keep them, things like that. So I'll talk to you in a sec. Alright guys, so now what we're getting ready to do is glue this plastic chain onto these rocks for the seahorses. It's really great for them because they can just twirl their tail around this. This is plastic, it's completely harmless. It floats in the water, so when it's glued down, it'll just float just like that. So we're getting ready to cut this and glue it on the rock. Once we get done, we'll get to show you guys the final product. So this is the final product. You can see the different heights of the chains, epoxied and glued onto the rocks. And like I said, it does float in the water just like that. You don't have to do anything else to it. This is going to be good, like I said, for the seahorses to grab onto because it still moves in the current of the water, which is going to be good for them too. So this is what this looks like tomorrow, or I guess whenever you're watching the video. There will be seahorses in the next portion of the video. So we're excited for those. It's the first time in a very long time that Fishy has had them. So stay tuned for what this looks like full of seahorses. Hey everyone! This is going to be the informational portion of the seahorse video that you're watching. I'm going to go over some information on the different types of seahorses that we got in the store. But most of this information is going to be very general, so you can apply it to most other seahorse species as well. I did make some notes because they are very fragile, very delicate, and more of an expert level fish. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anything because all of this information is so important for these guys. So we're going to start with their lifespan. So the 2 different types of seahorses that I got in are the Hippocampus erectus, which are the lined seahorses, and the Hippocampus redes. Those are going to be your Brazilian long snouts. We got in the orange and the yellow. So the lifespan for those guys is going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, which is pretty low for most fish, but for seahorses, that is actually a very long time. Hayden told me earlier today that the oldest he'd ever heard of was about 7. So prepare yourselves that they don't live a long time, but they do add a lot of personality to the tank while they're in there. Size-wise, for the 2 that I have out here for the Hippocampus redes and the erectus, are going to be around 6 to 7 inches. Typically, they don't get more than like 5.5, 6, but they can max out at 7. So know that. And because of how big they get, we're going to go over tank size for these guys. 30 gallons is the absolute minimum for 2. They say a pair, but for 2 seahorses, 30 gallons is going to be your minimum. And then they say 15 additional gallons for every additional seahorse that you put in. BioCubes are a good tank to keep them in. There is a height restriction too. You definitely don't want any low boy, like frag tanks for these guys. I'm pretty sure that I read 18 inches is the minimum for your height. You do want them to be able to at least swim up and down. You don't want something super low. These guys, like I said, are super fragile and super delicate. They need a completely fully cycled tank. You want no ammonia, no nitrite. You want barely detectable nitrate and barely detectable phosphates. They need super clean, pristine water. For these guys, I would recommend you need to be at least doing a water change every single week, if not twice a week. Seahorses are actually kind of dirty, and because they're dirty and they do need that really clean, pristine water, definitely water change once a week, but I would recommend sometimes doing it twice a week, depending on the amount of seahorses that you have in your tank. So some other water parameters we're gonna go over are gonna be your salinity, we're gonna go over your temperature and your pH. So your pH needs to be what you would consider normal saltwater pH. Anywhere from about 8.1 to 8.3 is gonna be good for them. Their salinity needs to be anywhere from 1.020 to 1.025. So they can live in lower salinity as well as around your 2.5, which is gonna be your normal saltwater salinity. But just know that that needs to be completely stable. Again, they're fragile. They can't deal with a lot of swings. So whatever salinity we decide to keep them at, that needs to be constant. And then the temperature for these guys is actually not gonna be as warm as your other saltwater fish. So these guys are gonna need a temperature between like 70 to 74 degrees. So a little bit cooler than what you would think. If you do add a heater into your tank, in order to keep that temperature stable for them, your heater really does not need to be in the tank where they can grab a hold of it. Your heater should be either in your sump, or if you have a biocube, it can go in the back behind and all that filtration, because whatever they can grab a hold to or hold on to, they're going to. So just make sure that heater is not in the tank with them so they don't have the opportunity to grab a hold. Speaking of grabbing a hold, they need a lot of hitching posts. They are poor swimmers. They don't swim very well, which is why they typically rely on their coloration and their texture and the fact that they're more ambush predators. They rely on those things to help camouflage in the wild. So in your tank, definitely have a lower flow because they will get pushed around in the current. And they need a lot of hitching posts, things to grab onto. Like we have the plastic chains in the tank for them to hold on to. Other things that are good are other fake corals, but make sure that there's nothing rough. If there's anything rough, it can really harm their tails and their bodies. So make sure it's like soft, fake coral. The plastic chains are really good for them as well. And also, some things that are really good for them are gonna be some live corals, not all, some. Especially your gorgonias, that's a hard word. Your gorgonias are gonna be super safe for them, and they're gonna be great hitching posts for them as well. Now, speaking of corals and other things you can have in the tank, absolutely no stinging corals. If there's a stinging coral, they can run into it and it will kill them. No stinging corals, no anemones for sure, no clams, and no even semi-aggressive to aggressive fish or other invertebrates. These guys really do better in a tank by themselves, and it's a lot safer to have them in a tank by themselves. But if you do want to add other things to your tank, there are safe corals and safe fish that you can add. Like I said, those gorgonias are gonna be really good coral-wise, but some fish that you can add that are really good for them are gonna be like your mandarins, your dragonettes. You can add some gobies with them. You can add some blennies in there with them. Some types of cardinal fish, especially your bangais and your pajamas. Those guys are gonna be super peaceful. And pipefish. Pipefish are probably the best fish to add in with seahorses, as well as those mandarins. That being said, I prefer to keep them alone. It's a lot safer to keep seahorses alone, but if you're really adamant about adding other things, there are safe options, and we do recommend you talk to us about those safe options so that we can help you do that and so that your seahorses are gonna stay safe. Last thing I want to talk about that's really important is their feeding habits and what they eat. So seahorses are toothless, which is super cool, fun fact, but they need to eat at least 2 to 3 times a day. They need to eat a lot. Their diet is going to be kind of finicky, which is another reason why they're more of an expert level fish. Typically, most seahorses eat live brine. So we sell frozen brine shrimp and we talk about it all the time, but all seahorses eat live brine. And if you look over here, we have 2 buckets of live brine that I ordered with the seahorses. So we're gonna hook up that pump with the bubblers in it to keep it going, to keep them live. Some seahorses will also eat frozen food, so they can be transferred to frozen food. That's not an issue. Some of the frozen food that they like are the frozen brine shrimp. Live brine is really small. We do carry frozen baby brine, which for the juvenile seahorses, like what we have, that's gonna be what I recommend. Some of the regular brine shrimp is gonna be a little bit too big. But full grown, they can eat the regular frozen brine. But for juveniles, the frozen baby brine, and also frozen mysis shrimp. That's also gonna be something really good for them to eat once they do transfer over to that frozen food. And then they will also eat pods, copepods and things like that, just like your mandarins, which is why those guys are typically a good tank mate for them. So that was a lot of information I know that I went over, but it's all very, very important. If you have any other questions, definitely come into the store, give us a call. You can ask for me if you want to, but a lot of us here know about seahorses and things like that. So that's just a quick general rundown of seahorses that I wanted to let you guys know about, since seahorses are not super common in the aquarium world. They are definitely more fragile, and it's not something that we here at Fishy Business carry all the time. So it's definitely something super cool. So I wanted to give you guys some information since they're not a super common thing. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. So you guys will get to see some really cute seahorses coming up soon. So make sure that you stay tuned. Good morning, everyone. Our seahorses are here. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just double checking the water like we do on all of our systems. It's been up and running for a very long time, close to a year, so I know it's cycled, but still, before you really put any fish in your tank, even you at home, us here in the store, we should be checking the water every single time. So quick plug for getting a test kit, because you definitely should be testing your water just to make sure that everything's going to be a-okay. So that's what I'm doing right now, just double checking the nitrate level, and as soon as I check this and we're good to go, they're going to start getting acclimated so I can put them in. My little babies! This is the first one that we pulled out. Let's see if I can flip him this way. This is a yellow Brazilian long snout. Ah, it's so cute and teeny. I can't wait to put all of them in the tank. All right, so we are in the process right now of acclimating the seahorses. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that you can go online and read, but the most effective, common, and safe way to acclimate seahorses is actually different than what you would think about acclimating very fragile saltwater fish. So the best way to acclimate seahorses is actually just like freshwater fish. You want to let the bags float for 20 to 30 minutes just so the temperatures can coincide, and then you want to cut the bag open and you want to put them right in. You don't want to drip acclimate them, or do it like we do with all the fish in the buckets and the water and things like that. My phone's quacking, that's my timer. So the best way to do it is just to float them and then cut them and then gently put them into a net and then put them right into the tank. So we're in the process of letting them float right now. 20 to 30 minutes later, we will put them in the tank. All right, guys, so we are gonna acclimate and put them in the tank. So they're so delicate, you don't want to use a net. So that's why Chase is delicately pouring them into my hand, so that once they're in my hand, I can just kind of put them right into the tank. There they go. Ah! Hey guys, so the seahorses, most of them have been swimming around, just kind of getting used to the tank, but we already have one that has found the chain, kind of like I talked to you guys about earlier in the video about why we put the chains in. So he's already holding on, he found that with his tail, and that just stabilizes them in the water. So we've already got one attached, and we're hoping that more become attached. Oh, one in the back just attached as I'm talking to you guys right now. So the longer they're in here, they will find the chain and they will attach. Hopefully all of them will in just a short amount of time. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video on seahorses. We hope you learned so much. You guys know how passionate and enthusiastic I get about all of these great animals that I get to take care of here at Fishy Business. So I'm going to let you guys take a look at them right now as I close out this video. If you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns about seahorses, definitely give us a call, message us on Facebook, let us know, and we'll gladly be able to answer those for you. It's super cool that we get to keep these in the store, like I said, because they're not a super common thing. So I'll let you guys take a look. Thank you again so much for watching, and we hope you guys decide to set up a seahorse tank yourselves.